Okay guys, here we go. We're back again. And I'm just going to be opening up the same part file that we've been working on so far. Adjust my little microphone here, get ready for this video. In this video we're going to be talking about adding sketch relations, which you've probably never heard of if you've never used this program before, or if you've only used something like Rhino. And we're also going to start talking about dimensions and stuff. But we're still just in the basics, and we're still just learning about, like, we made these sketches, and let's figure out what we did to make them. The way to do that is, first of all, I got to remind myself, what plane did I even build these on? I'm just going to hover over each one of these planes and try to tell, oh, look at that. It looks like I drew this on the top plane. Okay, good. All right, there's a little lag in between each one of these videos that I make for you guys, so a lot of your work in SolidWorks, you're just going to be reminding yourself, what did you do to build this thing? And this is what's great about SolidWorks, is that you've got this awesome design tree to give you, evidence of every move that you've made throughout the building process. Other programs aren't going to give you that, so that's what I really like about this program. Okay, so we know this thing's built on the top plane. If we click on the top plane and scroll around in 3D, then we get it. All right, we know that this is the sketch. If I click the sketch, it highlights it. All right, so I want to actually edit this sketch. I made some decisions. Decisions I made are, I don't like this oval anymore. I want to delete it. And then this circle here, I'm fine with the circle, but I want to snap it to the origin of my world. That's that center point of the entire, of all the planes in our part file here. And so in order to do that, I've got to edit this sketch. So I'm going to right click on the sketch, and I'm going to go edit sketch. Then I'm going to look normal to this sketch, because right now I'm in perspective and this looks like an ellipse instead of a circle, and I want to get straight on with this thing. So I'm going to hit Control 8. It's going to bring me normal to. And then I'm going to delete this oval because I don't like it anymore. So I'm just going to select it and hit the delete key. Always hit delete and not backspace. Quick tip there. Okay, other thing I'm going to do is just grab the center point of this origin, and I'm going to just go ahead. I can see SolidWorks really wants me to line it up with something. SolidWorks wants to have this thing defined in space. It doesn't want it to just be all willy-nilly out here in the corner. It wants to know that it's lined up with something like the origin. And you can see every time I get anywhere near alignment with the origin there, it gives me this nice construction line, like it's just drawing me on, like, please snap this on there. And so I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to snap it on there. And when you do this yourself, you'll feel there is a snapping feel to that. When you take that center point of the circle and bring it near the origin, it snaps right on there. But something else has happened as well. And let's take a look at it. It's this little green box has popped up. If I hover over it, it says Coincident Point. Now this is the very first sketch relation that we're going to encounter in the program. Coincident means touching. Okay, it means two things have come together and they are now touching each other, and they cannot not touch each other. This is like a little app that runs inside of this sketch that tells the point, the center point of this circle, that it has to stick onto the origin of that part file, and it cannot go anywhere else. So if I grab this circle and drag it in and out, it'll get bigger and smaller accordingly, but one thing that will never happen again is the center point will never move away from the origin. Okay, not unless I select that sketch relation and delete it. Then at that point I can grab my center point and move it off the origin. Okay, so sorry there, I just double clicked inside my design area and it brought me out of the sketch. There's two different ways that I was able to tell that. Up here in the upper left hand corner, the exit sketch button went away, and then also my sketch is now above the timeline. This is my timeline bar in my design tree. Anything above this bar is not an active item. So I have to go back into my sketch, right click on it, and go edit sketch. There we go. Okay, and as a beginner, you might not even notice what's going on, so you have to constantly practice in order to kind of recognize these signs, am I inside a sketch or not? Okay, so to add the sketch relation between this origin point and the origin before, I just dragged it over and snapped it on there. But you can add them from afar as well. I can grab this point, hit Shift, go to the origin, and holding Shift allows me to select two different things. Once I select the origin and the center point of the circle, I get this option box that pops up, and there's the Make Coincident button itself. Okay, so there's a button for it as well. Notice how that doesn't really arrive unless you have two things. SolidWorks can tell, oh, you've selected two different things, so you must want to add one of these features. So I can go ahead and hit Make Coincident, and then it will snap the two together and add the coincident relation to hold them in place. Okay. I can show you this in a different way. If I grab my line tool and I draw just like a straight line. All right. I've got to hit escape to drop that line. If I grab the point of this line and just move it all around, I can move it anywhere I want. But if I ever happen to touch this circle, you can see that it snaps it to the circle and automatically adds another coincident relation. So this is something to talk about with SolidWorks, that SolidWorks adds these sketch relations to your sketches automatically. Now that can be a fantastic thing for quickly laying out very precise sketches, but it can also be very frustrating when you're trying to just quickly lay down some sketches and they get stuck to other stuff. And so, at least in my practice, I'm constantly adding and removing these coincident relation points. You can see that now that coincident point is holding the point to the circle, now I can't do anything else with this line here except, you know, slide it around the perimeter of the circle. Okay, so if I wanted to use this line for something else, I'd have to go here, grab that coincident point, and then delete it. And then now that that's deleted, now I can bring my line off the circle. Okay, see that? Now you're going to notice there's a lot of little option boxes and stuff that are popping up all over the place, and that can be pretty distracting for new users because we don't recognize a lot of the tools that are in there. What can I say? There's a lot of things flashing at you when you use SolidWorks. There's all sorts of warnings and notifications and option boxes, and as you get into your own workflow, you're going to know which ones to look out for, and you're going to learn to ignore a lot of the stuff that goes on here too. Okay, so just a big point I want to make about how SolidWorks adds sketch relations to your sketches, just like that, automatically. Okay, watch out for it. Okay, let's play around with a couple other sketch relations. The next one I'll show you, we've got this line here. We like the line, but let's say we want this line to be perfectly perfectly horizontal. Now, I can try to do it by eye and line it up. I mean, it snaps to a horizontal kind of way just on its own, and you can see it, my cursor. If you watch my cursor, watch what happens when I get to horizontal. There you go. You see a little horizontal line pop up in white. And if I let go, I know that that's horizontal. I can pretty much tell just by looking at it. But you can see that if I grab it again and move it, I can move it to any angle that I like. If I want to have this thing horizontal and hold horizontal no matter what I do, I can add a horizontal sketch relation. I can just take this crooked line just like this, right click on it, and go make horizontal. It's this button here. Okay? There you go. All right, and now see what that's done. We've added a horizontal sketch relation to this sketch, and there it is, that little green box right there. Hover over it and it says horizontal. Unlike before where we just lined it up by eye and then we could move it again if we wanted, this little sketch relation now holds this line horizontal no matter what I do. Okay, so you can see here that no matter what I do to it, if I grab the point here at the end, or if I grab the center of it and try to pull it off of, we've got a sketch relation holding it to the circle, and then we've got a sketch relation holding it horizontal. Okay? All right, so let's do another thing. Let's grab the point of this line and go around until we get to being lined up with the origin. You can see the origin spits out a little construction line to tell us, all right, now that's set perfectly in line with the origin. I can do this a different way. If I select this point and then hold down Shift and select the origin, I could put a horizontal relationship between this point and this origin. Let's do it. Boom. Okay. Now I see that this line is lined up perfectly with my origin, and you can see another sketch relation has popped up because we added it. That tells this point to stay horizontal with the origin no matter what. Okay. All right, so there you go. So there's a couple of our very first sketch relations in SolidWorks, and a big one about how SolidWorks adds sketch relations to your line work as you draw. Now, this is a very simple example here with a circle and a line. In our next video, we're going to add some dimensions to this. We're going to start to learn a couple more things about working with 2D sketches in SolidWorks. We're going to start to play around with trim entities up here. And it's going to be a good video where you're going to learn a lot. Okay? All right. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.